why do you love Batman so much?
Man,
Let's get on that.
yeah, man. So Batman. I mean, I'm wearing Batman colors. This was not. That's funny, but I mean, but nah. I mean, Batman has always been there, right? Like,
Hmm.
um, we talked about this before, but I mean, I was in daycare watching reruns of Batman the animated series during the day, right? And I mean, there was a bunch of superhero shows. I'm born in 91. So this would have been like 93, 94. And so there's X-Men, Spider-Man, Superman got a show later on, Static Shock later on, like all this stuff. But when the Batman the animated series theme comes on, like you pay attention.
Hmm.
Like the way the Warner Brothers logo turns into the blimp, turns into the city, and it's just dark, and Batman just like fighting everybody. Like
Yeah.
it's so that show is really the reason I'm a Batman fan. And then from that show, my first Batman movie was Batman Forever. And I was just telling somebody, like, I feel like if I had seen Batman or Batman Returns before the Batman Forever, as a kid, I probably wouldn't have been a big Batman fan. Because those movies, well, Batman Returns specifically, is kind of scary. Like, that'd freak me out. But nah, so Batman was my favorite as a kid. And, to Warner Brothers' credit, Batman gets pretty good media all the time, whether it's animated shows, movies. Um, they license him everywhere. So there's
Hmm.
always a dope Batman poster. There's always a dope Batman lunchbox somewhere. So yeah, Batman was one of those things. Like when I was in high school, the trend was get like a little kitty backpack. And so I had a Batman backpack in 10th grade. Like, so it was just Batman was always there. And then now going back as a fan, Batman really does just have the best stories. I mean, somebody explained it like I think it was Frank Miller that was like Batman can literally be all of the things that Batman has been. Batman can be campy, Batman can be super serious and scary, and none of it is like, oh, that you're using the character wrong. Like all of it is.
Right.
And so yeah, I mean, chances you can throw a rock and hit an excellent Batman story. And I haven't had that experience with any other heroes. Like a lot of the other comics that I read are hit and miss. Like if you catch the right artist with the right writer at the right time, then you get a good story. But for the most part, Batman is always solid. And I think it's because we've had all these other depictions. So you can see your favorite Batman in almost any story.
Right. I feel that, man. Yeah, Batman is he's also, I mean, I know they say Peter Parker's the everyman, which is true. But Batman back when, he came out, like was no, he was the everyman. He was the non-powered superhero that
Yeah,
he was chilling with Superman. Like he was holding his own with Superman.
right.
I mean, I couldn't really relate to the billionaire aspect of it, but like there were certain aspects where, like, his mom and dad passed away and
Yeah,
when he was a kid and he had to go it alone and it wasn't as easy as you would think for a billionaire. Like he had to like
right.
deal with a lot of the trauma and those were things that I could relate to.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, like Batman definitely dope ass character, love him. um what was your first comic book though? Like, so like when you saw Batman the animated series, did that inspire
Mhm.
you to say like, oh, you know what, I think I should check out some of these comics and see what it's all about?
So I wasn't a comic book fan growing up. I mean, I grew up in North Carolina. My grandmother lived in New York. And so we spent our summers in Queens. Like my uncle had a friend, I don't know if he worked at a comic shop or what, but he would bring like these big Rite Aid bags filled with comics. And when there's no cable, right, like you'll read a comic book. Like you're
Right.
either outside on your bike or we're reading comic books. But even then, like as a kid, I used to draw a lot. And so I wasn't really reading the books as much as I was like grabbing them, trying to swipe like whatever the best cover was so I could try to draw it. So it was Batman, Spider-Man, the X-Men. Those were the three that I was like fighting my cousins over. But yeah, so I couldn't tell you what my first comic book was. if I saw the cover, I might be able to identify it, but I don't know. But when I got back in the comics, this was 2019. Um, I went to Free Comic Book Day for my daughter because my daughter fancies herself an artist now.
Nice.
And so I
I saw
wanted,
some of the work you posted. She's good.
thanks, man. She loves it. And so, seeing that in her, I'm like, okay, well, I used to like comic books when I was a kid, and I just happened to see an ad for a Free Comic Book Day event here in Raleigh. And so I took her there. There was like an artist there was a sculptor there, and she's just like all wide-eyed. And they had some dollar bins. So I just grabbed some stuff. I grabbed like a Wolverine. And because of, I don't know, I guess because I interacted with the ad on Facebook, I saw like live shows and stuff like that they did. And I won a copy of House of X #1,
Oh,
the
nice.
the Dave Cockrum Hidden Gem variant. And so I guess technically that wouldn't have been my first because my first was probably one of those in the dollar bin. But that was the one that like got me into like, what's this about? So I won that variant, and then I went back to the comic shop and like got a copy of the book that I could actually read. So House of X was the first series that got me into comics.
Nice. I love House of X, man. That series was just, I mean, I don't know if you, because you were just getting back into it, but before House of X, because Marvel didn't own the rights to the X-Men, the
Mhm.
X-Men were kind of like the redheaded stepchild of comics, right? Like they just kind of, oh yeah, well, we'll do this story, we'll do that story, but we're not going to push it. It's not going to be promoted. It's not going to be anything that we're going to sink a lot of money into because we have the Avengers,
Right.
and they're our moneymaker right now.
Hmm.
Same thing with Fantastic Four. Now that they have the rights back, now House of X comes out, and it's like, whoa, because like Hickman is, I don't know, Hickman's a beast, man. Like, because
Yeah.
you get so much with him. Like, you got like a really cool X-Men story in comic form, but then you had this like prose story that you also got to read,
Yeah.
and then there's all his design work, which is just sick.
Yeah.
It was an incredible story.
That series, like House of X #4, I still don't know if I've read it a single issue that like made me like want to run back to the comic shop since then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but we could talk about that all day. There's a bunch of stuff we
maybe
could
maybe
talk
that's maybe that's another show, man.
Yeah, right.
uh, but yeah, so what is your first omnibus? Because I know you're the omnibus guy. Your unboxings a lot of times they involve omnibus or
Yeah.
omnibuy. What? How do you? I don't know. Anyway,
Omar
uh,
says it's Omniboo.
omnibu. I'll go with that. Omnibu. I
So
like saying it. So
it's fun. It's a funny word. My bad. This camera, this is when people talk about like white privilege in like the craziest places,
Mhm.
this is it. The camera not staying in focus for me, that's that's
No,
my
nobody's gonna notice, man. Most of my fans are high, so we're good.
that's, that's my black advantage. This is my oppression for the day. No, I'm playing. My first omnibus, man, which one was it? So I bought them back to back. I had Amazon gift cards one Christmas. So it was either the Batman by Grant Morrison Volume 1, or no, it was Batman by Grant Morrison Volume 1. And then shortly after I bought Batman by Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo Volume 1. But yeah, that would have been Christmas 2020. Nah, 2019. Christmas 2019. I bought those, I think.
Nice. So I noticed like on the site, or I say site, but on the Facebook group K Squad,
Mhm.
um, I'm the Omnibu are the preferred reading method for most of the cats on K Squad, and a bunch of us like we post our weekly grabs, like you see like I take a neat little picture of all my books lined up on the bed and whatnot,
Uh,
um, but for the most part, people are posting like, oh, I just got this omnibus in, and does anybody have this omnibus? I'd love to trade with,
yeah.
and it just seems like it's such a wild culture, man, and like I love the feeling of floppies, so on, but
Mhm.
but when you sent this omnibus to me, I kind of got like that feeling, like I was like, oh, I see what it's about right now, because this
Mhm.
was like I had a couple, they were They felt like maybe some like high school textbooks or whatever, right? Like they were a
Yeah.
little thin.
Hmm.
I have Alias and I have Powers. Those are the only two that I owned before.
Gotcha.
This thing is huge.
Yeah.
And when I grabbed it, it felt like a tome. I felt like I was
Mhm.
holding like a book of power, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta read this." And I was like, "But I don't even want to open it.
Yeah.
I want to keep it nice." But yeah, so like, why Omniboo
Yeah.
over over floppies, man?
Yeah. So because I didn't grow up reading comics, right? Like the issue that I was running into was I'm getting into comics. I'm like, hey, what's a good story to read? And people don't recommend stories. They recommend runs. It's like
Mm-hmm.
read the Brubaker Cap run or
Right,
read the Morrison Batman run and so on. And so it's like if you're
which can be
collecting,
broken up into several different
right,
stories. Right.
exactly, exactly. But if you are, and maybe it's just because I was just dumb or like I just didn't quite get like where the story breaks were, right? It's like because if I go to get a trade and the trade says volume 2,
Mm-hmm.
I want volume 1, but go to any comic shop in America right now, and most of the trade paperback section will not have volume 1s, right? Most of them are out of print or they sold out when they released, and the comic shop isn't going to reorder it because it won't sell again.
Yeah,
Because
you find like 5, 6, and 9. You know,
exactly,
like yeah.
exactly. So it's like I felt like I couldn't get into a story without getting it from the beginning. What's funny is I held out on the omnibus train for a long time. I was like, I'm not. That's those are these like these books are $100. What like that's a pair of J's. Like I'm not doing that. But yeah, I got the Batman by Grant Morrison through an Amazon gift card for Christmas or whatever, and then I realized like yo like this is the whole story, right? The first
Mm-hmm.
appearance of Damian Wayne's in here. Like there's a few other keys in that run. If I was gonna go get those in single issues, I have the first appearance of Damian Wayne. That cost me $150 slabbed in a 9.8. $150 will get you the entire Grant Morrison omnibus set on Amazon right now.
Right.
So it's like, okay, it's actually cost effective if I'm not on in stock trades every Tuesday buying them. And so that it's that reason, the cost effectiveness, the fact that I can read a whole story, and I feel like they display better, right? Like I'm a
Oh,
single,
certainly do.
yeah, I'm a single issue guy as well. I literally have 16 short boxes stacked on a wire rack right now,
Okay.
and it's
Yeah,
just like
I saw that too.
it's just like it. If it wasn't for the fact that these were art boxes, my room would look like a dungeon. You know, like you get the big white BCW boxes. You know, if you're lucky, you might get a Max Pro box and it's black off Amazon. But the art boxes kind of save it and keep my house from looking like a garage all throughout it.
I'm gonna
But
take a picture of the room that I'm like sorting all my books out in and post it on the squad so you can see what I'm dealing with. Like, yeah, your room's great, man. You should
I'm
be
trying.
happy, man.
I'm trying, man. I've made a very concerted effort. Like, okay, this room can't feel like the walls are closing in. So right now, and this is the reason part 3 of the room tour hasn't dropped on YouTube yet. I'm like going through that whole Marie Kondo minimalist phase. Like, all right, does this bring me joy? But I can't throw anything away. Like I just don't have it in my heart to do it. So I'm like, okay, well, can this go in the closet? Can this go here? Like, so I'm trying to stay organized while keeping everything visible, and that's quite the challenge. But yeah, so the omnibus, the hardcovers in general, you can throw them on a shelf. They look good, and so yeah, I prefer it for all those reasons.
Where man, do me a favor and let everybody know where they can find you on the K Squad and on YouTube.
Sure. So I'm BJ Kicks. So on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that at BJ Kicks. If you're looking to join the K Squad, I have a nice easy link. It's bjkicks.link/K Squad, and that'll take you to our Facebook group where we talk about comics. That's what we do. It's a no hate zone. We're not raging against, whatever nonsense is happening in comics. We're just reading fun stories and sharing them, and we do fun initiatives like Tony's the captain of the Fit Club, right? Like there's a lot of things that we do that other comic groups just don't, and we have a lot of fun doing it.
Word. Hit me with that slogan, man.
What's the slow? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? This was a great interview. I hope you heard something you liked. You know what I'm saying? If not, that's cool. You can always buy what you like. Make sure you read what you buy and be nice to others because kindness makes the world go
Yes, sir. And I'm gonna close it out with that. I'm letting BJ Kicks take us out, man.
round.
Peace, everybody. Thanks for listening. As always, check out BJ on K Squad. You could check me out on Nerd Ruckus Network on Facebook. And you can also just check us out on Tony and Cooley every week on Mondays. Actually, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday now, because we're breaking them up into little 15-minute episodes. So trying to make it a little, try and make little bite-sized things for everybody. So
Tony
check
and
us out.
Cooley is just an awesome name, by the way.
Oh,
Like
thanks,
that.
man.
That is great.
Thank you. But yeah, bro, I'm gonna catch on. I'm gonna catch you on the flip.
All right.
And I'm gonna bring you back on the show at some point, man, so we can catch up and talk about some more stuff, man. Because this was just to wet people's whistle and
Gotcha.
let them know like what you're all about. You know what I mean?
Cool, cool. Appreciate it, man.
All right, man.
All
Good
right.
seeing you, brother.
Good seeing you.
All right, see you.